We're now joined by retired Major General David Fraser, CTV's military analyst and former commander of NATO forces in southern Afghanistan. Thanks so much for joining us. Israel had promised that this was going to happen, so it's not a total shock. But what are your thoughts?
Well, Lena, I think the fact that Israel has been very clear on their intentions all along has been an indication of the due diligence that they want to separate Hamas fighters from the innocent civilian Palestinian citizens. And the fact that the Minister of Defense has indicated that the ground offensive is about to start is another indication that if you're not going to fight, then get out of the fight. Because once they go in, and the Israelis are going to go in overwhelming power, it is designed to do one thing: punish Hamas and destroy those tunnels.
There are fears that this could intensify into something much more serious, that this could become a regional war. Do you fear that that is more likely after this announcement by Israel?
I do, Lena, do believe that there is more possibility of a regional conflict, because once the ground offensive starts, it will give more reasons for Hezbollah to do something behind the front lines. So it'll give more reason for the West Bank to rear its head. And, you know, as Israel goes and it starts to attack, there will be more Palestinians killed, which will then raise the dander of all of the Arab world. So we are entering the most dangerous part of this war. And whatever happens, nobody can predict it.
And that was going to be my next question. What will this mean for innocent civilians on the ground right now, scrambling to find safety? How does Israel try and ensure that when it launches this ground invasion, it makes sure that every civilian has cleared the area? Is that even possible?
Well, the Israelis can't ensure that every civilian has cleared the area. The Israelis are trying to find 199 hostages there. With the pictures that you're looking for, it's almost impossible to separate the innocent people from the fighters. This doesn't execute very cleanly. It's going to be a mess. You've got humanitarian aid, which is now starting to enter the country. You've got escape routes. And as we just saw in the last couple of days, if something's going to go wrong, it will go wrong. And just look what happened to the hospital. So for the Israelis, the worst is yet to come.
And we know that for Gazans, over 1,000 children have already died. We're talking about innocent civilians caught in the middle of this war. What do you think will be left of Gaza after this potential invasion, this ground invasion?
Well, you know, honestly, I think the northern part of Gaza will be nothing but a rubble pile. And, you know, they're going to have to rebuild that entire portion of Gaza. The question is what does Israel do with Gaza after this assault? They're going to have to sit down with the Palestinian authorities to figure out who's going to govern it, what happens, who's going to rebuild the cities. The real humanitarian work is going to be after the war. And this is where Israelis and Palestinians must work together for the benefit of all residents.
I have to ask you, there are so many world leaders making stops in Israel. Yesterday, we saw Joe Biden on the ground. Today, we see the prime minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak. Why is nobody calling for a ceasefire?
Because I think, you know, both the prime minister and the president understand that the rage that Israel and the right of Israel to defend themselves, that a ceasefire at this stage is not realistic. But, you know, Israel is going to have to, and the president was very clear, be prudent in your controlling your rage against Hamas and not against the Palestinian people. You can't stop the Israelis for what they're about to do. But once they start it, that's when the leaders get back and say, enough, that's enough, and let's have a ceasefire, let's separate this, let's figure out what we're going to do next. But Israel has got to demonstrate to their citizens Hamas cannot come into their country and do what it did and not go unpunished.
Just devastating. Again, if you're following us here on CP24, if you're just joining us, we are learning that Israel's defense minister promising a ground invasion of Gaza and has told troops to be ready to see the territory from the inside. Retired Major General David Fraser, I want to thank you so much for your perspective on this.
Lena, thank you.